Learning Islam from Scratch, Episode 25. How was the first Quran book compiled? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is Haira and this is my journey learning Islam from scratch. Bapa, last time you talked about how the Quran was a living backup in the hearts of thousands. But history is never simple, is it? People pass away and memories can fade. I was reading that shortly after the Prophet ﷺ passed away, there was a huge battle where many of those living hard drives, the people who had memorized the whole Quran, were killed. That must have been a moment of total panic for the community. How did they stop the Quran from disappearing with them?
Walaikum salam Haira. You have hit on one of the most intense moments in Islamic history, the Battle of Imama. You are right. About 70 master memorizers were killed in that single battle. Umar radiallahu anhu looked at this battlefield and realized that if this continued, the chest of the community might eventually emptied out. He rushed to the first caliphate, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and told him, "We need to gather the Quran into one book."
Was Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu on board immediately?
Actually, no. He was terrified instead. He said, "How can I do something that the Messenger of Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself did not do?" He was so careful about following the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam his way that he didn't want to innovate. But Umar kept explaining the danger until Abu Bakr heart opened to this idea. They called a young man named Zaid bin Thabit radiallahu anhu. He was the Prophet's primary scribe.
That's a huge responsibility for a young person. How did he even start?
Zaid actually said that moving a mountain would have been easier than this task. But he was brilliant. He didn't just rely on his own memory. He set up a strict two-factor authentication system. To accept any verse, he required two things. It had to be found in the writings from the Prophet's time, on barks or stones or leather, and it had to be witnessed by two people who heard the Prophet ﷺ recite it.
So, even if they knew it by heart, they still insisted on the physical proof?
Every single time. They gathered all those pieces from the Prophet's house and the houses of Sahaba. They cross checked everything until they had one master copy. This copy stayed with Abu Bakr and then Umar and then with Umar's daughter Hafsa radiallahu anha. But as the year went by, Islam spread to Persia, Rome, and North Africa. New Muslims who didn't speak Arabic were started to pronounce words differently.
I can imagine. Like how people in different countries have different accents today.
Exactly. But with the Quran, a tiny change in pronunciation can sometimes change the meaning. During the time of third caliph, Uthman radiallahu anhu, a companion named Hudayfa came back from the distant battle and said, "Save this ummah before they differ about the book like the nations before them."
So, what did Uthman radiallahu anhu do? Did he write a new version?
No, he went back to the original master copy kept by Hafsa. He gathered the best scribes and told them to make a perfect copies of it. He wanted a standard edition so that every city from Mecca to Kufa would be reading the exact same letters. He sent those copies out to every major city and asked everyone to destroy any personal incomplete notes they had made.
Wait, why destroy them? That sounds a bit too extreme.
It sounds that way, but think about it. Many people had a personal notes where they wrote on their own explanation or small parts they remembered. If those unofficial notebooks were passed down, the people after 100 years later wouldn't know which part was the Quran and which part was just a someone's personal note. Uthman radiallahu anhu wanted to make sure there was a zero confusion. He sacrificed the notes to save the text.
That makes sense. It was about protecting the purity of the source.
Exactly. And because of the massive effort, two of those original Uthmanic copies still exist today in the museums of Turkey and Uzbekistan. If you take the Quran you have today and compare it with those 1300 years old manuscripts, it's a perfect match, letter for letter.
That is mind blowing, Baba. It shows that while Allah promised to protect the Quran, He used the wisdom and the hard work of the Sahaba to do it.
It's a beautiful partnership between a divine decree and the human effort. He have the book because they cared enough to preserve it for us.
This is Haira, and this is my journey learning Islam from scratch. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.